Jiho Kang stood in the observation room of the diplomatic station, watching stars drift past the window. He wore his formal uniform, the one reserved for important meetings. His hands were steady, but his mind was racing. In 10 minutes, he would meet with the most powerful ruler in the galaxy. The door behind him opened with a soft hiss. His assistant spoke quietly. "Commander, the Queen is ready for you." Jiho turned and walked through the corridors of the station. Other aliens moved aside as he passed. Some whispered. Everyone knew about this meeting. No one knew why Queen Thalvira had requested to see him alone. The meeting chamber was enormous. The ceiling rose high above, covered in lights that looked like distant galaxies. At the far end, Queen Thalvira sat on a throne made of black metal. She was twice as tall as Jiho, with 4 arms and a body covered in dark purple armor that seemed to be part of her skin. Her eyes glowed yellow in the dim light. Jiho walked forward and bowed slightly. Not too deep. Humans had earned their place here through strength, and he would not grovel. "Commander Kang," the Queen's voice echoed in the chamber. She spoke through a translator device, but her tone was clear. "Thank you for coming." "Your Majesty," Jiho replied. "It is an honor." "I will speak directly," Thalvira said. She leaned forward, her massive form casting a shadow over him. "I have called you here to make an offer. My daughter, Princess Zelenara, is of breeding age. I offer her to you as a mate." Jiho felt his heart skip, but kept his face calm. Around them, several of the Queen's advisors shifted in surprise. This was clearly unexpected. "This is a great honor," Jiho said carefully. "May I ask why you have chosen me?" "Your species is new to the Council," Thalvira explained. "But you have shown strength. You defended your world against the Krellian invasion. You refused to surrender even when defeat seemed certain. My people respect strength. A union between our species would benefit both our worlds." Jiho nodded slowly. He understood the political weight of this offer. The Volcara Empire controlled a quarter of the galaxy. Their military was unmatched. Any species would jump at this chance. "Your daughter," Jiho said. "Have you spoken to her about this?" Thalvira's head tilted slightly, a gesture of confusion. "She will obey." "That is not a concern." "I see." Jiho took a breath. "Your Majesty, I must respectfully decline your offer." The silence that followed was crushing. The advisors began whispering urgently. Queen Thalvira stood from her throne, her full height making Jiho feel very small. "You refuse?" Her voice was sharp now. "Explain yourself, human." "I mean no disrespect to you or your daughter," Jiho said, keeping his voice steady. "But I cannot accept this arrangement." "Do you find my daughter unworthy?" Thalvira demanded. "She is perfection itself. Her genetics are flawless. She is trained in combat, strategy, and leadership. She will live for 10,000 years. She could give you children who would be superior to any human ever born." "I do not doubt her capabilities," Jiho replied. "Then what?" The Queen descended from her throne, walking toward him. Each step shook the floor slightly. "Do you not understand what you are rejecting? My protection, my alliance, power beyond anything your species has known." Jiho met her glowing eyes without flinching. "I understand completely, Your Majesty." "Then WHY?" Thalvira stopped a few feet from him. "No species has ever refused this honor. The Kelrathi Emperor begged for such an arrangement. The Hive Queens offered tribute for decades to earn my consideration. Even the ancient Vok would have accepted. Why do you refuse?" Jiho was quiet for a moment. He thought about his words carefully. This moment would define Earth's relationship with the Volcara for generations. "Because she has no choice in this," he said simply. Thalvira stared at him. Her advisors went completely silent. "What does that mean?" The Queen asked. You offer your daughter to me, Jiho explained. But you never asked her if she wants this. You decided for her. And you expect me to accept a union with someone who has no say in her own future. She is my daughter. I know what is best for her. Perhaps, Jiho said. But that does not make it her choice. Choice. Thalvira repeated the word like it was foreign. She is royalty. She has a duty. Choice is irrelevant. Not to humans, Jiho replied. To us, choice is everything. The queen studied him for a long moment. Her expression was unreadable behind her armored features. You are either very brave or very foolish, she said finally. I cannot decide which. Maybe both, Jiho admitted. Thalvira turned away, walking back to her throne. This audience is over. Go, human. I will consider your words, though I do not understand them. Jiho bowed again and turned to leave. As he reached the door, the queen spoke once more. Commander Kang, you have made this refusal. But know this, I will discover why. I will understand your reasoning. And then we shall speak again. I look forward to it, Your Majesty, Jiho said, and walked out. Behind him, he could hear the advisors erupting in confused chatter. He had just rejected the most powerful being in the galaxy. History would remember this moment. He just hoped it would remember it as the right decision. Queen Thalvira sat alone in her private chamber, staring at a holographic display. It showed information about Earth and its people. For 3 days, she had been studying humans, trying to understand Commander Kang's refusal. Your Majesty, a voice spoke from the doorway. Kix, her most trusted advisor, entered. He was a small, gray-skinned creature with large eyes and 6 fingers on each hand. His species was known for their knowledge and wisdom. Tell me what you have learned, Thalvira commanded. Kix approached, carrying a data tablet. Humans are complicated, Your Majesty. They have concepts that do not exist in most species. They call one of them free will. Explain. They believe each individual should make their own decisions, Kix said. They value something they call consent. It means agreement given freely, without force or obligation. Thalvira's eyes narrowed. That sounds like weakness. How can a society function if everyone does what they want? They have laws and structure, Kix replied. But within those boundaries, they choose their own paths. They even choose their mates based on something called love. Love? Thalvira stood and began pacing. That is an emotion. Emotions cloud judgment. We breed for strength and purpose, not feelings. Yes, Your Majesty, Kix agreed. But humans claim their emotions make them stronger. They say people fight harder for things they choose than for things they are commanded to do. The queen stopped pacing. She looked at the holographic display again. Images of human families appeared. Mothers holding children. Couples standing together. Groups of people celebrating. This is inefficient, she said. But her voice held uncertainty. Meanwhile, on the human section of the diplomatic station, Jiho sat in his quarters with Captain Hannah Yoon. She was his second in command and oldest friend. They had served together for 12 years. The council is talking about nothing else, Hannah said, pouring tea for both of them. Half think you are insane. The other half think you are brave. And you? Jiho asked. Hannah smiled. I think you did what you always do. You followed your principles, even when it was hard. Jiho stared into his tea. I keep thinking about Yumi. Your sister? When we were young, our parents arranged our marriage to Director Wang's son. It was good for both families. Political connections, financial benefits. Everyone said it was a great match. But she was not happy, Hannah said quietly. She was miserable, Jiho replied. She did her duty. She married him. She played the perfect wife. But I watched her become a shell of who she used to be. She stopped laughing, stopped painting, stopped being Yumi. That is why you refused the queen. How could I do the same thing to Princess Salanara? Jiho asked. How could I accept a union with someone who has no say in it? I would be no different than Director Wang's son, accepting a bride who never wanted to marry him. Hannah reached over and squeezed his hand. Your parents' marriage was arranged too, was it not? Yes, they respected each other. But there was no warmth, no joy, just duty. Jiho shook his head. I swore I would never let duty decide my heart, and I would never force that on someone else. A chime sounded at the door. Jiho stood to answer it. When the door opened, he froze. Princess Salanara stood in the corridor. She was smaller than her mother, perhaps 8 feet tall. Her armor was silver instead of purple, and her eyes glowed a softer blue. 2 guards stood behind her, but she gestured for them to stay back. Commander Kang, she said through her translator. May I speak with you? Jiho glanced at Hana, who quickly stood and excused herself. Once she was gone, Jiho invited the princess inside. Salanara entered, her movements careful. She seemed nervous, though Jiho was not sure if aliens could feel nervousness the way humans did. Your Majesty, Jiho began, but she raised a hand. Please. Just Salanara. I am not here as royalty. I am here as myself. She paused, as if the word felt strange. If I can be. Please, sis, Jiho offered, though the furniture was clearly too small for her. She knelt instead, bringing herself closer to his height. You refused my mother's offer, Salanara said. It was not a question. Yes. No one has ever done that before, she continued. In my life, I have been offered to 17 different beings. All of them accepted immediately. You are the first to say no. Jiho sat across from her. I meant no insult to you. I know, Salanara said. I have been listening to the recordings of your meeting. I wanted to understand why. She tilted her head. You said I had no choice. That is correct. My mother chooses for me. She always has. It is her right as queen and as my mother. Perhaps, Jiho said carefully. But that does not mean it should be that way. Salanara was quiet for a long moment. Then she asked, if I could choose any life, what would it be? Jiho blinked. I cannot answer that. Only you can. But I do not know, Salanara said, and there was something almost lost in her voice. I have never thought about it. I am a princess. I am trained for combat. I am designed to be perfect. But if I could be anything else, I do not know what that would be. Then, maybe it is time you found out, Jiho suggested. How? Start small, Jiho said. What do you enjoy? What makes you happy? Salanara stared at him. I do not understand the question. And in that moment, Jiho realized just how different their worlds truly were. This princess, this perfectly designed being, had never once been asked what she wanted. She had been given everything except the freedom to choose. I think, Jiho said gently, you and I have much to talk about. Salanara nodded slowly. Yes, I think we do. Queen Thalvera made her decision on the 7th day. She would come to Earth. If humans believed their way was stronger, she would see for herself. She informed Commander Kang that she and her daughter would observe human culture for 30 days. Jiho received the message with mixed feelings. Having the queen and princess on Earth was both an honor and a risk. But he agreed. 2 weeks later, Salanara stood in the observation deck of the human diplomatic quarters, watching Earth rotate below. Her mother had returned to Velkara on urgent business, leaving the princess with her guards and instructions to learn. It is beautiful, Salanara said. Jiho stood beside her, along with Hana. It is home, Jiho replied simply. Over the following days, Salanara met many humans. Jiho introduced her to people from all walks of life. She observed, asked questions, and slowly began to see patterns. The first person who truly confused her was Lieutenant Day Park. He was a tactical officer, skilled and respected. He invited Zalinara to dinner at his quarters, where she met his husband. Wu was not military. He was a civilian scientist who studied plant genetics. He was quiet and gentle, very different from Day. "How were you matched?" Zalinara asked during dinner. "Did your families arrange this union for strategic benefit?" Day laughed. "No, Your Highness. We met at a conference 7 years ago. Wu was presenting research on crop resilience. I was there for security. He asked me about my work," Wu added, smiling at his husband. "Most people find it boring. But Day listened for 2 hours, asking questions. I found him fascinating," Day said. "Still do. But what benefit does this union provide?" Zalinara asked. "Your skills do not complement each other strategically." Wu and Day exchanged glances. Wu spoke carefully. "We are together because we love each other, because we make each other happy. But surely there is more purpose than happiness. Is happiness not purpose enough?" Day asked gently. Zalinara had no answer. Later that week, they visited Engineering Bay 3, where Narration worked. She was the lead engineer for the station's life support systems. She was brilliant, and everyone said she would be promoted to chief engineer soon. "Engineer Song," Jiho said. "Tell the princes about your recent decision." Nari smiled, though there was sadness in her eyes. "I turned down the promotion to chief engineer." "Why?" Zalinara asked, genuinely shocked. "That is a position of great honor." "It is," Nari agreed. "But it would require me to relocate to Mars. My father is elderly and ill. He lives on Earth. I chose to stay near him. Your father chose for you to sacrifice your advancement." "No," Nari said firmly. "He told me to take the promotion. He said he would be fine. But I chose to stay. I want to spend his remaining years with him. The promotion will still be there later. His time will not." "You chose duty to family over personal advancement," Zalinara said slowly. "I chose love over career," Nari corrected. "It was my decision. No one forced me. That is what matters." That night, Zalinara sat alone in her quarters, thinking. Every human she met had made choices. Some chose love. Some chose duty. Some chose career. Some chose family. But they all chose. She realized that she had never made a real choice in her entire life. She had been designed before birth. Her training decided at age 2. Her role determined at age 5. Even what she ate was planned for optimal nutrition. A message alert interrupted her thoughts. It was from Jiho, asking if she wanted to join him for tea. Zalinara accepted. When she arrived at his quarters, she found him sitting by a window, looking at Earth. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "Refusing my mother?" "No," Jiho said. "I regret that it hurt you. But I do not regret the principle." "I am not hurt," Zalinara said, sitting down. "I am confused. For my entire life, I have been told I am perfect. I am designed to be superior in every way. I am trained for leadership. I am made to be desired. But," Jiho prompted. "But I do not know who I am," Zalinara admitted. "I know what I was made to be. I know my purpose. But if all of that was taken away, I do not know what would remain. Is there a me underneath all the design and training?" Jiho was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Let me ask you something. When you were a child, before all the training, what did you like to do?" Zalinara thought back. Memories surfaced, distant and faded. "I liked to watch the stars. I would sneak away from my tutors and go to the observation deck. I would watch ships come and go and wonder where they were traveling." "Did you want to travel with them?" Yes, Selenara said, surprised by her own answer. I wanted to see other worlds. Not as a princess or a warrior. Just as myself. Then that is who you are, Jiho said. Someone who wants to explore. Someone who dreams of other worlds. That is you, underneath everything else. But I cannot, Selenara protested. I am a princess. I have duties. Do you want to fulfill those duties? The question hung in the air. Selenara opened her mouth to say yes automatically. Then she stopped. Did she want to? Or did she simply accept it because she had no other option? I do not know, she whispered. I have never asked myself that question. Then it is time you did, Jiho said. You are more than what you were made to be, Selenara. You are a person, and people have the right to choose their own path. Selenara looked at him, her blue eyes glowing in the dim light. Your people believe this so strongly. That choice matters more than design, more than duty, more than perfection. Yes, Jiho confirmed. But what if I choose wrong? Then you learn from it and choose again, Jiho said. That is what freedom means. The right to make mistakes. The right to grow. For the first time in her life, Selenara felt something shift inside her. It was small, like a crack in armor. But it was there. Teach me, she said. Teach me how to choose. Jiho smiled. I think you are already learning. The message came at dawn. It was marked urgent, encrypted with royal codes. Jiho was pulled from sleep by the alert and read it with growing concern. A Valkara, colony on the border worlds, was under attack. Raiders from the Krellian system had broken through defenses. Queen Thalvira was demanding that Princess Selenara return immediately to lead the counterattack. Jiho found Selenara already in the command center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the battle. Her guards stood ready, preparing for immediate departure. Your Majesty, Jiho said, using her formal title. I heard the news. My mother commands my return, Selenara said, but her voice was different than before. There was doubt in it. I must go. It is my duty, must you? Jiho asked quietly. Selenara turned to him. Behind her armored features, he could see conflict. Commander Kang, this is not the time for philosophy. My people are dying. I agree, Jiho said. But I have to ask, are you going because you want to save them or because you were ordered to? Does it matter? It matters more than anything, Jiho replied. He stepped closer, lowering his voice so only she could hear. Selenara, you have spent weeks learning about choice. Now you face your first real one. If you go because you choose to protect your people, not because your mother commanded it. How can I know the difference? Selenara's voice was almost desperate. Ask yourself this, Jiho said. If your mother had not ordered you, would you still want to go? Selenara was silent. The displays around them showed ships burning, cities under bombardment. Her people needed her. Yes, she finally said. Yes, I would choose to go. Those people are innocent. They need protection. I have the training and ability to help them. I choose to do this. Then go with my blessing, Jiho said. But go as yourself, not as a tool. Selenara nodded. Something had changed in her posture. She stood straighter, more certain. Commander Kang, I have one request. Name it. Come with me, she said. Bring your ships. Not because you are ordered, but because you choose to help. Jiho smiled. I will ask my captain to prepare the fleet. But I warn you, we are not as powerful as Valkara forces. No, Selenara agreed. But you fight for what you believe in. That is a different kind of strength. 6 hours later, Selenara's command ship dropped out of hyperspace near the besieged colony. Behind her came 3 Valkara battle cruisers. And behind them, smaller but determined, came 5 human ships led by Jiho's flagship. On the bridge of her command ship, Zalanara studied the tactical display. The Krellian raiders had superior numbers. Traditional Velkara strategy would be to meet them head-on, overwhelming them with firepower. Victory at any cost. But Zalanara found herself thinking differently now. She looked at the colony below. 2 million civilians. If she followed traditional tactics, many would die in the crossfire. Princess, her second-in-command, said, "Orders?" Zalanara hesitated. Then she opened the communication channel to all ships, including the human fleet. "This is Princess Zalanara," she announced. "I am in command, but I will not simply give orders. I ask for your input. Commander Kang, what do you see?" On the human flagship, Jiho studied his own displays. "The raiders are focused on the mining facilities. They want resources, not conquest. If we can cut off their escape routes while evacuating civilians, we can trap them without endangering the colony. That would take longer," the Velkara second-in-command protested. "We should strike now, hard and fast." "And how many colonists would die?" Zalanara asked. Her second-in-command had no answer. "We do it Commander Kang's way," Zalanara decided. "All ships, prepare for coordinated strike. Velkara cruisers will engage the raiders directly, but hold fire in their populated areas. Human ships will establish evacuation corridors. We save lives first. Victory second." The battle lasted 4 hours. It was longer than a traditional assault would have been. But when it ended, the raiders were destroyed or captured, and only 200 colonists had died instead of thousands. On the surface, Zalanara walked through the damaged city. Survivors came out to thank her. Children clung to their parents. Medics worked to save the injured. A young Velkara child, no more than 5 years old, approached her. He held out a small flower, one of the native plants. "Thank you for saving my mother," the child said. Zalanara took the flower. She had been given medals and honors before. But this simple gift from a child felt different, more real. That evening, Zalanara and Jiho stood on the observation deck of her ship. Earth was visible in the distance. "You made a choice today," Jiho said. "A hard one. You chose to save lives over military glory." "It felt right," Zalanara said. "But my mother will not be pleased. I was supposed to crush the raiders quickly, show Velkara strength." "You showed a different kind of strength," Jiho replied. "You showed wisdom, compassion, the strength to do what was right instead of what was expected." "My second-in-command was confused," Zalanara admitted. "I asked for input instead of just commanding. I made decisions based on saving lives instead of tactical efficiency." "And your people followed you anyway," Jiho pointed out. "Because your choice made sense to them. Because they believed in it." Zalanara turned to face him. "Commander Kang, I am beginning to understand what you meant. When I refused my mother's order and made my own choice to help, I felt different, stronger, more certain." "That is the power of free will," Jiho said. "But now I must face my mother," Zalanara continued. "She will demand to know why I questioned her strategies, why I involved humans, why I prioritized colonist lives over military doctrine. Then tell her the truth," Jiho said simply. "Tell her you made a choice, and stand by it." Zalanara looked at the flower the child had given her. It was already wilting, but she had carefully preserved it in a stasis field. "I am afraid," she admitted quietly. "Good," Jiho said. "Fear means you understand the weight of your choices. But do not let fear stop you from making them." A message alert sounded. Queen Thalvira was calling for her daughter. The final confrontation was about to begin. Queen Thalvira stood in the same meeting chamber where she had first offered her daughter to Jiho. But this time, the atmosphere was different, colder, more tense. Zalinara entered first, her armor gleaming. Jiho followed behind her, as she had requested. The queen's advisors lined the walls, watching in silence. "My daughter," Thalvira said, her voice echoing. "You have returned. But I have read the reports. You did not follow Velkara battle doctrine. You asked humans for advice. You prioritized civilian lives over military efficiency." "Yes, Mother," Zalinara replied. Her voice was steady. "Explain yourself." Zalinara straightened. "I made choices based on what I believed was right. I chose to minimize casualties. I chose to save as many lives as possible. And I chose to ask for help from allies." "Chose?" Thalvira's eyes narrowed. "You were commanded to eliminate the threat swiftly, to show Velkara power." "I eliminated the threat," Zalinara said. "I also saved 2 million colonists. Is that not more important than displaying power?" The queen turned her gaze to Jiho. You have corrupted my daughter with your human ideas." "No, Your Majesty," Jiho replied calmly. "I have not corrupted her. I have simply asked her questions she had never been asked before, such as, 'What do you want?' Jiho said simply. 'What do you believe? What do you choose?' Thalvira stepped down from her throne, moving toward Jiho with intimidating presence. 'I called you here months ago and asked you a question. You refused my daughter. I demanded to know why. Now I demand again. Give me your complete answer.' Jiho met her eyes without fear. 'I refused because she deserved the right to refuse me.' "Explain." "Your daughter is not a prize to be won," Jiho said. "She is not a tool to be used for alliances. She's not a weapon to be deployed. She is a person, and people deserve the right to choose their own path." "She is royalty," Thalvira countered. "She has duties, responsibilities." "Yes," Jiho agreed. "But even royalty should have the right to choose how they fulfill those duties. You offered her to me, but you never asked if she wanted to be offered. You commanded her to marry, but never asked who she wanted to marry, or if she wanted to marry at all. Because those questions are irrelevant." Thalvira's voice rose. "I am her queen and her mother. I know what is best. Do you?" Jiho asked quietly. "Or do you simply know what you want for her?" The chamber fell silent. Zalinara stepped forward, standing beside Jiho. "Mother," she said, "I have spent weeks among humans. I have learned something important. They fight harder when they choose to fight. They love deeper when they choose to love. They sacrifice more when they choose to sacrifice. This is weakness," Thalvira insisted. "Velkara are bred for perfection. We are designed for specific purposes. That is our strength, is it?" Zalinara asked. "Or is it fragility?" The queen went very still. "What did you say?" "You have made us powerful, Mother. But you have also made us rigid. We cannot adapt because we have never learned to think for ourselves. We follow orders perfectly because we have never learned to question them. What happens when the orders are wrong? What happens when situations change?" "We have survived for millennia," Thalvira said, but her voice held less certainty. "We have survived because we were the strongest," Zalinara replied. "But humans have shown me that strength is not just power. It is also flexibility, creativity, the ability to choose and adapt." Jiho spoke again. "Your Majesty, I did not refuse your daughter because she is unworthy. I refused because the arrangement was unfair to her. True strength is not forcing the most powerful outcome. True strength is having the power to choose and choosing anyway." "You claim that weakness is strength," Thalvira said. "That is a contradiction, is it?" Jiho asked. "Your daughter could have followed your orders blindly in battle. Instead, she chose to question traditional tactics. She chose to save lives. She chose to ask for help. And because of those choices, she won the battle with minimal casualties. Is that weakness? Thalvira turned to her daughter. You questioned me. I did, Zelenara said. And I will continue to question when questioning is needed. But I will also obey when obedience is right. The difference is that now, I understand why I'm doing it. I am not just following commands. I am making choices. The queen was silent for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was softer. You have changed, my daughter. Yes, Zelenara agreed. I am still your daughter. I am still a warrior. I am still Velkara. But now I am also myself. Someone who thinks and questions and chooses. And this makes you stronger? Thalvira asked, though it sounded more like a genuine question now than a challenge. Yes, Zelenara said firmly. Because now when I fight for reasons I believe in. When I serve because I choose to, not because I have no other option. That makes my service more meaningful, my loyalty more real. Thalvira turned back to Jiho. For the first time since he had met her, she looked uncertain. You have taught my daughter to question me, she said. Some would call that treason. I taught her to question herself, Jiho corrected. To know her own mind. To understand her own heart. If that threatens your rule, then perhaps your rule was built on a weak foundation. Another long silence. Then, slowly, Queen Thalvira began to laugh. It was a strange sound, deep and resonant. You are either the bravest being I have ever met, or the most foolish, she said. But you were right, Commander Kang. My daughter is stronger now. I can see it. She stands differently. She speaks with more certainty. She has become more, because she has become herself, Jiho said. Thalvira nodded slowly. I do not fully understand your human ways. Perhaps I never will. But I cannot deny the results. My daughter won a battle while saving thousands of lives. She did what I commanded, but she did it better than I would have planned. She turned to Zelenara. Daughter, I release you from the obligation to marry for political purposes. If you choose to marry, it will be your choice. If you choose not to, that will also be your choice. Zelenara bowed deeply. Thank you, Mother. Do not thank me yet, Thalvira said. I am assigning you a new role. You will be our ambassador to the human worlds. You will learn more of their ways and teach them ours. You will bridge our cultures. And if I refuse? Zelenara asked, though there was a smile in her voice. Then I will find someone else, Thalvira replied. But I think you will not refuse. Because this is work you would choose? Is it not? Zelenara thought about it. Meeting new people, learning new ideas, exploring new worlds. It was exactly what she had dreamed of as a child. Yes, she said. I choose to accept. 6 months later, Jiho received a message from his sister, Yumi. She had left her arranged marriage. It had been difficult and painful, but she was rebuilding her life. She had started painting again. She sounded happy. Jiho stood in the observation deck, reading her message and smiling. Beside him, Zelenara looked at Earth below. Do you regret it? She asked. Refusing my mother's original offer? No, Jiho said. I could never regret helping you find your freedom. We could still marry, you know, Zelenara said, and there was something playful in her voice. If we chose to. Jiho laughed. Perhaps someday. But if we do, it will be because we both choose it. Not for politics or duty, but because we want to. Because we want to, Zelenara repeated, as if testing the words. I like the sound of that. Below them, representatives from dozens of species were arriving for a Galactic Council meeting. Many wanted to know about the new agreement between humans and Velkara. They wanted to understand these strange ideas. About choice and freedom. The galaxy was beginning to ask questions it had never asked before. And it was all because one human had the courage to refuse a queen. And one princess had the courage to find herself. The real strength, they both knew now, was not in power or perfection. It was in the simple, difficult, beautiful freedom to choose.